Hey guys, it's Monday, March 22nd, 2021. It's officially spring, and we're going to start the week off by talking about Cardano. Get ready. Let's go. Okay, so first up, let's take a look at decentralization of our network versus BTC. As you can see from this map, we have got locations all over the world. We got stuff going on all over the damn world. Look at that. Bitcoin, on the other hand, I think we have all known for a long time, Bitcoin mining is fairly centralized. It's comparatively fairly centralized. This is going to be no news to anybody listening to this, but I think it's awesome that our community is starting to put out these awesome little infographics, charts, maps, stuff like this. The more we do this, I think the more people outside our ecosystem are going to realize what we've actually got going on. So I think we need to keep bumping this up. We need to keep talking about how wonderful we are, because if we don't talk about it, nobody's going to realize. But you can see, I mean, all over the United States, the inhabited parts of Canada, South America, Africa, Europe, both Western, Northern, Southern, Eastern, and then in the large population centers of Asia, Australia, New Zealand, we've got all kinds of stuff going on. Bitcoin, on the other hand, just big coastal cities. Big cities and big coastal cities. Very, very concentrated, obviously, with a gigantic dot in China on the Bitcoin side. We already knew this. We're way more decentralized. Good job, Cardano pool operators. Speaking of pool operation and the system functioning, check out this next chart, this next series of charts. So this is on Edutainment's website. Thank you, Edutainment, for pushing this kind of info out. Super interesting. So as you can see, transaction count way up in the last few epochs. Obviously, active stake also up. Transaction fees, according to Edutainment here, transaction fees have gone down quite a bit over that series of epochs, but that first table is aggregate transaction fees collected, and they are way up, while average transaction fees down and transaction count way up. So this is always what we want to see. I mean, we're finally getting to the point where the network is coming to full fruition. All the work that IOHK and Emergo and even the foundation have put in, over the last several years, it's all finally coming to fruition. We're seeing actual transactions on the network. The blocks are being validated not just by IOHK, but by decentralized SPOs, with all of us delegating into those pools. It's all finally coming together, guys. It's kind of like we have been this gigantic sports team, all of us together, training and training and training. And now we finally get to go to the Olympics. Now we're finally going to go to the Olympics, and we're competing against everybody, but mainly a short list of other countries, right? I think you all know who they are. We've got all the other platform coins. But we are looking great, according to this. So probably one of the most important things going on this week, I mean, we could get a surprise, and if a surprise African bird lands, then that's going to be the most important thing. But one of the important things that we know is going to happen this week is this. The Cardano 360 March Edition show. So what is this thing? What is it? This is the monthly streaming show put out by IOHK, where Tim Harrison and Aparna jump on and they tell us about everything that's going on in the Cardano universe. So this is a great show. If you want to figure out when, what the timeline looks like for various things, when things are going to happen, what the teams are actually working on, this is where you can find that out, right? Most importantly, we're probably going to find out what the target date for the Alonzo Hard Fork Combinator event will be. So what is that? So Goguen brings us smart contracts and all the sort of platform coin things that we all know and have looked forward to all these years in Cardano. So Goguen kind of involved 3 hard fork combinator events. Those, 2 of those, we've already experienced 2 of those, right? So we're in Shelley now, and we have a multi-asset blockchain. We've got fungible and non-fungible tokens. To spin those up, you just need to set up a Cardano node, and then you can use the command line interface to create those fungible or non-fungible tokens. Eventually we'll get a GUI to make that happen as well, and there's even an ERC20 token converter, and I believe it was last month at the Cardano 360 February show where we got a little demo of that GUI. It looked awesome. So we're going to find out about the Alonzo hard fork combinator event, non-event really. Like the way these work, I think most people know in other blockchains, when you have a hard fork, it's a big event because you don't know if everybody on the node is going to accept the new code that's being pushed to the consensus protocol. So in the past, we've had these events that produced the Bitcoin Cash schism, the failure of the DAO recursive call attack created the Ethereum Classic Ethereum schism, right? Those were actual forks. In Cardano, what we have is the code gets pushed out, and it's a non-event. Nobody even notices. It's not this big thing where everybody's basically voting with their feet, deciding whether or not to adopt the new protocol or not. In Cardano, it just happens. Everybody's cool with it. It's not a big fight. It doesn't get nasty. There's no drama. It's a hard fork combinator non-event. That's what Alonzo's going to be. And we're going to find out the timeline for that in the Cardano 360 show. Let's talk about our final item for today. So we've always had, it's no secret, a lot of acidic criticism has been thrown at Cardano over the years, and that'll continue, right? The other platform coins, they don't want us taking market share because they see it as a zero-sum game where if we get some market share, this market share they don't have. So there's this family of criticisms that have always been thrown at us, and they all involve a little, let's call it like mathematical sleight of hand, right? Like the first of this series of criticisms, I'm going to call them fake complaints. The first of these fake complaints we always saw was, hey, you've got too many coins, right? It's like they couldn't complain that we didn't have a hard cap because we do, even though recently I've seen people complaining that they're, even a fairly prominent YouTuber recently put Cardano in the camp of not having a hard cap. I don't think he knows about that 45 billion number, but people couldn't complain about that because we do have that 45 billion number. So the thing they complained about was, hey, it's too high. In Bitcoin, there can only ever be 21 million. You guys are talking about a 45 billion limit. That's too high, right? The problem here, this is an exploit of mathematical illiteracy, right? So if I've got a project where I've got 10 coins and you've got a project where you've got 40 coins and the market cap is the same, it doesn't really matter if I've got 4 of your project or 1 of mine, 4 of 40 or 1 of 10. If the market cap in dollars is the same for those 2 projects, if the overall project is valued the same, it doesn't matter if 25% is represented by, or let's say 10% is represented by 4 coins or 1 coin. What matters is what the total market cap is and what share of that market cap you're holding. Of course, none of us on this, watching this video, are going to be holding 25% of Cardano ever. That would be a level of centralization I don't think any of us would be comfortable with, and we'd be so rich, we're probably not even watching YouTube anymore, right? We're probably watching some kind of billionaire programming, right? Whatever that is. But that's sort of the mathematical sleight of hand there. It gets a little bit more complicated, though, when you talk about things like coin burns. Like Charles has addressed this ad nauseum on his AMAs. People are always like, when are you going to burn some coins? And he's like, hey guys, burning coins doesn't make any sense because all the coins in Cardano are owned by somebody. They're all owned by somebody. whose coins are we going to burn? Are we going to burn your coins? Are we going to burn somebody else's? Like, there's no stash of coins. There's not a stash of coins, waiting to be issued or burned, that don't belong to anybody or don't have a future purpose. That's not how it works here. And the way that works on a lot of other blockchains is they have these big coin burning events, right? But they just increase. They can just have a heightened inflation of their coin in terms of coin emission, right? It's like, hey, instead of issuing 5% more coins every year, we're going to issue 10% more coins every year, and then we're going to burn half those. That's the same as having a 5% emission. What matters is your total inflation every year, right? A more nuanced version of this same sleight of hand kind of thing, and I'm not saying it's dishonest, I'm just saying people don't understand it, is burning fees, right? As represented by this Venn diagram right here. People are like, hey, what's important here are three things: burned fees, staking rewards, and limited supply. I agree as to staking rewards and limited supply. I think those are important and very attractive to me as an individual holder of Cardano. The burned fees thing, right? Those transaction fees pay for transactions on the network. Somebody's got to pay for those transactions, right? You've got to store the data. Somebody's got to validate each, slot, epic block, whatever you call it, whatever the nomenclature is on your particular blockchain. Somebody's got to pay for those. If the fees aren't paying for it, who's paying for it? Oftentimes, most often, it turns out it's being obfuscated in the form of increased inflation in the coin, some kind of coin emissions, or some other hidden tax on the network. The only way things really work at scale is when you have a good incentive system and you have free competition. If nobody were paying for the block validation to get done, you would not have a good incentive system, right? So when projects say, hey, we burn all the fees don't go anywhere, they get burned, right? Unfortunately, usually what that really means is that the fees are getting paid some other way, right? Some other hidden tax on somebody in the ecosystem. Usually that hidden tax is obfuscated in the form of inflation in the coin. What that actually means is that all the holders of the coin get punished. Their holdings become a smaller percentage of the project's total worth as time goes on, because the coin is getting inflated at a heightened level. And that's how they're actually paying for the fees, right? And there are a million different ways you can do this in an ecosystem, but it's kind of like you could either have a 5% inflation in your coin every year, or you could have a 10% inflation in your coin and then say, hey, we burned that other 5%. But that does not in any way mean that you improved the position of your coin holders versus just having a 5% inflation rate. Everybody's like, oh, sweet, they burned half the coins, right? Or they burned all the fees. They burn all the fees, right? But if your inflation rate is already higher per year, you're not really doing anything. It just sounds good, but that burn was actually covered by your heightened inflation rate every year. Kind of the same thing when people are like, oh, staking makes 10% versus 5%. Well, if the other money's getting inflated away, it doesn't really help. Math is still math here, guys. So don't fall for these number games. And I'm not even necessarily saying anybody's being dishonest with all this, but I am saying that in a lot of cases, people don't understand. And I'll see you all tomorrow.